We're going to talk about effort today. How much do you value effort? Does effort guarantee success? And what would our lives be like without effort? If you're a fan of Running Man, you'll know this. The grasshopper, Yu Yi-suk, once said something great. Instead of being remembered as the best, I want to be remembered as someone who always tried his best. And honestly, for me right now, this is something I constantly remind myself of daily. I want to try my absolute best with what I have. I think you'll really like listening to this in the morning. Because every morning when we wake up, sometimes we feel so tired and discouraged, right? We don't want to keep trying or making an effort, because what we're doing isn't bringing any rewards or recognition. We ask ourselves if all this effort is in vain, and why we have to try so hard when others seem to achieve what they want so easily. In 2017, when I was about to graduate from university, I felt quite lost, even though I was already working as a content marketer for a company. But I truly yearned to study abroad, so I looked up a lot of information about it. I started considering my academic ability, and more importantly, my finances. Finances were crucial, and I realized I wouldn't have enough money to study in places like the US or the UK. It felt so out of reach. If I wanted to go to those places, I'd need a full scholarship. Even a 50% scholarship wouldn't be enough. My family could never afford to send me to study in the places I dreamed of, so I looked for another country, France. If I studied in France in French, I'd get free tuition, and living costs weren't too high. I could work and study there. But at that time, I honestly blamed my circumstances a bit. I thought, if only my family were rich, then I wouldn't have to worry about where to study. I could go to the US or the UK, anywhere I wanted. Everything would have been so much easier. I started feeling sad. I began thinking, why? If only I had been born into a wealthy family. If only someone had guided me when I was younger, say in middle or high school, then I could have prepared for my future. I could have planned to study abroad since then, and by now I would surely have a great scholarship. I think all of us, at some point, might have blamed our circumstances, blamed life, and blamed fate for being unfair, for not giving us what others have, right? Then I spent time being sad, disappointed, blaming fate. I felt like I'd never succeed because I didn't have the same amazing background as others. I didn't have financial support or guidance on a future career path. So I spent a lot of time feeling that way. But then I realized that even with a good background and financial support, if you don't put in the effort, it's hard to succeed. And if I just sat there complaining about my fate and resenting destiny, would anything in my life change? Would anything better happen in the future? If I didn't make an effort, what would make my life better? I thought about this very seriously. Actually, ever since I left home at 18 to attend university in Hanoi, I've had many different jobs and challenged myself a lot, almost never giving myself much time to rest. I just threw myself into work. And during that time, honestly, I hadn't achieved significant results in my life. That's why, right after graduation, even though I had a job, I still wanted to study abroad and do this and that. As a result, I increasingly felt like, I wonder if all the effort I put in during those 4 years of university was pointless. Then, one beautiful day, I woke up as usual, got up early, went to the gym, prepared my breakfast, and packed my lunch. On my way from home to the office, which was about a dozen kilometers away, I lived in an apartment complex in the center and worked in Long Bien. I started thinking about what I had. And I realized, if before I lived in a cramped, hot room without air conditioning, now I was in an apartment with full furnishings, air conditioning, hot water, and a spacious, clean bathroom. I had access to a fully equipped gym on the top floor of the building. I ate nutritious meals every day. I could buy things I liked and go for coffee with friends, all with the salary I earned myself. I was truly self-sufficient after all those university years. So, hadn't all my efforts and hard work during those 4 years of university already started to pay off a little? Exactly. At that time, I even had a Mark II, a camera or device which I bought with the money I saved from my part-time jobs. I rode my scooter, which my parents bought for me, and I called Vivi to work. I also had lovely, cheerful colleagues who often brought snacks for me, their younger colleague. I had a thoughtful manager who often gave me books to read so I could write better, understand customers more, and be more creative. I had so many things, and yet for a moment I thought fate was unfair. In that moment, I lost some objectivity. It was thanks to my circumstances and my parents that I had what I did today. My parents had worked incredibly hard to provide for all three of us siblings to get a full education, and I'd never really felt disadvantaged. So why now, for just one distant desire, had I blamed my circumstances? Around that time, I also went on a charity trip to the northern mountainous region, and it was truly an unforgettable trip for me. Even though it only lasted 2 days, it made me think a lot about the world around me. When we went to the northwestern mountains, the children there couldn't even go to school. Seeing those kids in their ragged clothes in such cold weather, I felt so touched. And if we look at the broader picture of all the people living in Vietnam, there are still so many impoverished and suffering people, children who can't go to school and have no opportunities for a future. And we here now, with our civilization and wonderful connection to technology, listening to podcasts like this, we have incredibly fortunate conditions, far better than many others. So, often if we just stay in our rooms, dwelling on what we don't have, maybe we should step out a bit, look at the world around us, and simply realize that our lives are actually much better than many others. And sometimes, what we already have might be the dream of countless people. After that trip, I wrote in my diary lines that I will cherish and remind myself of for the rest of my life. Always appreciate what you have, because you truly have a lot. And strive even harder so that later you'll have even more to help even more people, because too many people need help. I wrote those words 4 or 5 years ago, and sitting here today, sharing them, I hope they can help you, help someone out there who is truly discouraged and disappointed with themselves, with their circumstances, and with the difficulties they are going through. I really hope this can help you. If those 4 years of university were about perseverance and diligence, then from 2017 onwards, when I was unemployed, it became about continuous, relentless effort. Especially when I decided to move to Saigon, far from my family. Immediately after arriving, I started working full-time. And honestly, from 2017 to 2020, for those 3 years, I was almost constantly working, with very little time for rest. Even when I went home for Tet or had weekends off, I only worked Monday to Friday. I still used that time to study or do extra work. I learned writing, video editing, how to speak more smoothly and fluently, and how to view things from different perspectives more objectively, rather than just my own. Primarily, I started making more effort to earn money because I felt insecure when I had nothing. We need to overcome that insecurity, right? I accumulated more knowledge and skills while also increasing my income during that entire period, right up to now. That's why I always tell myself that the harder things get, the more effort I need to put in. Only then can I overcome difficulties. And sometimes, it's precisely because fate sends us so many challenges that we find the strength to overcome them. Each time, we become much stronger. And looking back now, I feel grateful for all those difficulties. I'm grateful for all the experiences I went through during my journey, because it's all those things that made me who I am today. If everything had been too easy, if I woke up and had everything handed to me by others, then I certainly would never have developed such profound inner growth. Even now, with my finances very stable and my job excellent, I've found a job I truly love. I continue to develop and learn more. I have future plans. I'm preparing many things, not because of life's pressures to change or succeed, but simply because I see what I have now, and I want to develop these things further. I will work harder and make more effort to become a valuable person and bring value to others. Because I know that when I live well and develop well, not only I, but my family, those around me, and society will all develop better. If each of us makes an effort and tries, then surely our society and our country will be much better. Perhaps you still remember Uncle Ho's quote, right? Will the Vietnamese landscape become beautiful? Will Vietnam be able to step onto the glorious stage to stand shoulder to shoulder with the powerful nations of the 5 continents? A large part of that depends on your efforts in studying. Honestly, I'm not sharing this to force you to strive, to make an effort, to tell you that your life will only change if you try hard. I believe we all have our own thoughts, and you yourselves will realize what you need to do for your lives. I'm just sharing my thoughts and experiences. I realized that the moment I stopped blaming my circumstances, I felt much lighter, first and foremost. Sometimes we blame someone else for our lives to feel lighter, but in reality, all that does is create comparison, envy, disappointment, and even a feeling of unfairness. It doesn't bring us freedom or peace. But when I thought, I must take responsibility for my own life, for my future, for myself, and for my present, at that moment I felt incredibly, incredibly lighter. I truly felt, I am in control of this game. Now I can completely become the person I want to be, because there are no barriers of circumstance holding me back. If I try, I can absolutely achieve what I desire. It's precisely our preconceptions about life circumstances and family backgrounds that limit us so much when it comes to self-development in the future. I know there are many successful people today, on YouTube, in real life, perhaps your boss or your friends. They are symbols of highly talented and excellent individuals, born into educated families with parents in prominent positions, or they come from very wealthy families. But there are also many who succeed solely because of their own efforts. And even if you grew up in a not-so-wealthy family, with parents who are just ordinary farmers, you can still become a successful person whom everyone will listen to. Never give up on your dreams simply because you think you don't have what others have. The most important thing is how much effort you put in and how you do it. Even now, sitting here, I don't consider myself a successful person. I still need to make much more effort. But compared to a girl born and raised in central Vietnam in a very ordinary family, I feel proud of what I have achieved because of all my efforts. I truly feel proud. And like the grasshopper Yu Yisuk, I don't want to be remembered as the best, but as someone who made the most effort. Perhaps I don't often talk much about what I've been through or what I've sacrificed. But if I can be here today, doing this, I firmly believe that you can absolutely do it too. You can absolutely pursue your dreams, even if right now you don't feel like you have anything particularly special or outstanding. Let's ask ourselves if we have truly tried our best, if we have made our utmost effort, before we give up on ourselves. If you ask me if effort guarantees success, my answer is that we should focus on the journey rather than the destination. Because if you put in your utmost effort and keep trying, you will encounter many different opportunities along that path. You might not even reach the exact goal you initially desired, but you will discover so many potentials within yourself. Effort might not lead to resounding success, but it will certainly help you conquer yourself, refine yourself, and uncover what kind of energy you possess, what your strengths and weaknesses are. Effort helps us unlock so much hidden potential within ourselves. It might sound a bit grand, a bit over the top, but essentially, it's just about giving ourselves a chance, everyone. It's that simple. We're giving ourselves the opportunity to immerse ourselves in life's development and see where our limits are, what they are like. In the beginning, when we put in effort and try hard, we might not see any results. But look back at who you were yesterday, the day before, last month, last year. You've surely seen a lot of self-improvement, and that itself is something to cherish. Success doesn't happen overnight, everyone. It's not a single decision. Rather, it's on the path we walk that we see ourselves developing more each day. We get better each day, we accomplish something new each day that is already success. I think we shouldn't define success as something too grand, like appearing on TV or the front page of famous newspapers. The important thing is that we understand what value we can bring to this life through our daily efforts. For example, when I was working at a company, I would often ask myself, have I tried my absolute best? Have I put in my maximum effort for the things I'm doing? If I tried my best, what else could I accomplish? Sometimes, when we work, we just follow the rules, we do what we're told. But if we change our mindset a little and decide that whatever job we're doing, we will do it the best we can, putting in our utmost effort to complete it perfectly, then we will have many more opportunities for advancement in our careers. If you're working at a company, this is something that will greatly change your work mindset. That's why, back when I was working, my salary doubled after a year, and I was promoted to a management position. I've also shared with you before, if they pay you $5 million, work as if you're being paid $10 million. If they give you $10 million, work as if you're being paid $20 million or even more. When you're working at a company, you might think, oh, I'll just do the bare minimum, nothing too much. Because if I do too much, my boss will give me more work, and then I'll be really busy and tired. It's okay if you feel like resting or taking a break, but I always remember this one saying, don't choose comfort when you're young. This means that at our age, when we're full of energy, healthy, and not yet burdened by family or children, this is when we need to sacrifice and put in the most effort. And if we push ourselves hard during these years, roughly from 20 to 25, then everything will become much easier afterwards. This is an honest sharing from a 26-year-old girl talking to you. Don't hesitate to dedicate all your free time to developing your skills, learning a new language, studying design, learning how to make money online, learning anything that will benefit your future and your life. Have we spent too much time scrolling through social media? Or perhaps you have a habit of waking up late, having lunch, and then sleeping through the entire afternoon every weekend. You have more free time than you think. For you, how much is this effort worth? For me, effort is priceless because it has brought me freedom and comfort at this moment. Life is full of challenges, but those very challenges make us grow wiser and more capable. And if you want your life to become more meaningful, if you want to find your passion, find a job you love, become a valuable person, someone people want to be close to and get to know, someone who clearly knows what they want and need in life, then right now, let's put in our utmost effort with what we have. Even if we only have 2 bare hands, we can absolutely start. Because every new day is a new opportunity, and life will always give us opportunities. We only get one life to live, everyone. Somehow, at some point, if you make the effort and keep trying, life will open a path for you. From the very beginning, I never thought I could be where I am now. I just thought about making an effort, everyone. I didn't overthink about needing to succeed by 25 or having certain things by 30 or 35. I simply tried my best every day, putting in effort every day. Even now, I still haven't stopped doing that. I continue to be diligent and put in effort, even though I currently have many things I want. But I still don't consider that success, nor do I see it as a reason to rest or relax. Instead, I continue to make plans so I can explore even more to see how far my capabilities can go. Because we only live once in this world, everyone. We only live once. So when we're old, when we can barely stand, our ears can't hear clearly, and our eyes can't see well by then, if we want to do anything, everything will be too difficult. And you will thank yourself for being diligent, for making an effort, for trying today, whether you had nothing or had everything. Don't limit your own abilities in a box. Unleash them like a breeze flying endlessly across the sky. I believe that all of you deserve to have the life you desire. I trust in that, and I firmly believe that when you make an effort and try your best, you will surely have the opportunity to live such a life. I chose a life of independence and freedom, and effort granted me that. And I hope that you will make your own choices in this life.